Jesus and I God. He's the ultimate prophet, filled with the Spirit of God. Let's see, Matthew 3:16 KJV. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straight away out of the water, and Lord, the heavens were open unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting upon him. Let's go to Isaiah 11:1 and 2. And it shall come for the rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. The Spirit of God rested on Jesus, he is not God. Jesus is the vessel clothed with the Spirit. The vessel never became the Spirit, and the Spirit never became the vessel. Jesus was the ultimate prophet, not God. There is one God of Israel, and none beside God. Jesus identified himself as a prophet, not God. Mark 6:4. And but Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. John 4:9 KJV. She said, a prophet, not God. She said, a prophet, not God. And Jesus said none is good but the one God. So from here, let's go to Mark 10:18. And Jesus said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. And we can see this in Psalms 29:5-8. For the Lord is good, one God. And Jesus was a prophet. God said, thus say the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first and I am the last, and beside me there is no God. You can find that in Isaiah 4:4. Jesus was the ultimate prophet, not God. There is one God of Israel, and none beside God.
Heavenly Father, who setteth the hidden channels beneath the green grass, and to Jehovah who discerns the sweetness that is only cloaked for bitterness, who look not upon the adornment but upon the fountain source. For Father, we come before you today, thee as a people walking through the marketplace filled with wares that vanish in the hand. The merchant cries and the tables are crowded, and the smoke is dressed in silk. And many have brought what not can be held, and have called emptiness freedom, and have called bondage choice. Therefore, O my Lord, give thy people ears to hear, truly hear, the heart to follow the truth. When truth cuts against desires, let the mirrors of smoke be shattered by the light of thy instructions, O Father, so that the gazers can no longer see only what the flesh wishes, or what thy covenant requires. And where the well has been praised by men, yet poisoned in secret, expose their hidden channels, O Father, where the night has been used as a curtain. Tear the curtain, Father, where the tongue has spoken meekness by day and yet traffic the defilement by night. Bring the double life into one judgment of thine. And where the hidden springs is marked, for all is yours, Father. And I ask, Father, this spring is marked for its sealing. Strengthen it, Father, and keep it shut up. Preserve its waters from mingling. Make it quiet, obedient, more precious than the loud applause of this city. I ask, Father, to set thy vessel in a proper place, O Lord. And let the stone vessel remain upon the golden shaft of the covenant order. And let not the cast itself down in the whispering of clay. Silence the murmuring, and call of honor a cage, and glory a prison. Let thy craftsman, Father, the intent stand over the creature of opinions. And if any vessel have already fallen among the common pots, wash it. Restore it and teach it again the differences between the wine and the dishwasher. And to concern the scrolls of covenant. If a knife have been lifted, stay the hand. And if a cut have been made, heal the wound by truth, not by replacement. And let the golden ink of witness speak louder than the counsel of vanity. Call the heart back from the dark corner, where living words were cast aside, make reconciliation weightier than the pride of demands in the new parchment. And Father, for those who walk in the narrow road with the garments once white, keep them, Father, in the first small stain that pretends to be nothing. Teach them that compromise is a fox with the small feet, and that many small teeth can spoil the whole vine. Cause them to watch the gate of the eyes, Father, the doors of lips, the pathway of feet, that the thorns of this age, Father, do not push them into the arms of deception. So I pray to you, O Father, let thy living waters compass thy people as a river compass the land of true substance, where gold is not counterfeit and where the onyx stones remains a witness, so that they may choose the weight of the covenant over the lightness of smoke. And I pray this, Father, in the ways of Jehovah, the servant of you, to guide these hearers, and he is our shepherd. He is our shepherd, and he is not in confusion. He is set upon the fountains, the guard upon the scrolls, and the lamp upon the narrow road. And let they who have ears to hear, and they who have a heart to follow, keep his way. These are the ways of Jehovah, Father, and the ways that I always will pray in. In the ways of Jehovah, I will always pray. Amen. And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the House of the Lost Sheep of Israel. I'm the pastor here with the House of the Lost Sheep and also with King James Bible University. And I want to welcome each and every one here. And today we got to be putting in some serious work today and what we have to accomplish. As we has been lingering, and now we enter into the house of Jehovah, we see it's getting a little bit more serious, a little bit more deeper, a little bit for people harder to see and understand what is going on within today. So I want to get people to understand that as we continually move forward, we're going to continually get deeper. But before I get started, even what you see here is where you see where I'm presenting to you Adam and Eve, to where we're going to get the understanding, a deeper side on what we need to do. Sin with these two individuals is all about. And we had to present these first fruits before the Lord. So before we get started, we do want to have a couple of announcements, and one in particular that we're going to bring up. That's the Passover. The Passover and what we're doing here. This event is already sold out. So if you're looking or planning and you have not made arrangements for this, it's already sold out. All you can do right now is send your interests that you're seeking to be put on the waiting list, because it's already sold out. And this here is going to be an extremely important one. Extremely important one. The reason I say that is because the table is set. The doors are shut. And we're going to be moving forward to something that each and every one of us been seeking to truly do in this day, in this time. So as we're going to be moving through here, we're going to get a better understanding on what we need to do and what we need to understand. So today, as I said, we're going to be doing a lot of work today. We got to put in a lot of work, and we're going to get a lot of understanding. So I'm going to be presenting, I was going to present one parable in Zoom, but I'm going to present both parables out here in the front. And what I want to do is I do have a question for everybody. I have a question for everybody. And you know how some people like to tell something else and not be honest with me. But it's actually a crack up, and that's why I have to actually kind of sometimes laugh. But I'm gonna still ask the question: how many people actually read the? How many people read the description? How many people read the description, and how many people understood the description? And just eyes for yes, ends for no. Just real simple. Eyes for yes, ends for no. And if you understood it, just eyes for yes, ends for no. So I see a lot of people saying they understood it. Actually, it's a trip. Well, it's kind of funny. Yeah. So it's only kind of funny because a lot of people are saying they understood it. So it's highly interesting. So what I'm going to be doing, you shouldn't have no problem understanding what is being said here. It should be clear. And that's why I always look for people. I look for honesty. Honesty is the most important thing we need to do. And as we move forward, we want to make sure we get into what we're doing. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go through two parables. I'm going to go through one. I'm going to break it down and what's going on. The people who say they understood it, they should already know what I'm going to do once I start doing the parable. The ones who don't understand it, then they can build on that understanding. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started. And just like I said, we're going to be a little bit extra long today. But the same thing is, I want to run them both here because what we're going to be doing is changing a big time format, meaning this. I will be having classes on parables, on how to read them, understand them, including understand them in the Bible. It's a caveat to this, and as I've been telling some people earlier, it's a big caveat to it. People who normally don't ask me questions, and we go in the back and I normally don't get questions at all. They'll just sit back and they know. Those are the ones that we don't need in the classes. We need the ones who actually ask the questions and they trying to figure out, they trying to understand, and they really want to make sure they understand what the word is. Those are the ones I want. Everybody who don't do that, everyone who just sits back, because don't think that you're just going to get a green light into the class. All the elders, the deacons, the evangelists, they will be coming into the class. However, people who just think that they just going to be granted in there and no questions, never, that's going to be an issue. So that's the thing. So people who sit there who don't ask, because I need full-blown participation in that to push what need to happen, what people need to see. So let's get started here. We want to look at something. We want to look at something here. So let's get started here. And we're going to present the first parable. And I'm going to break it down, and we're going to see how this actually works. So we're going to go through it, and I know people, I can't quite see it. I do that for a reason. That's done for a reason. But it says this. It's a salutation which I'm going to do to it. It says, to the called and chosen of this present age, 2026, scattered among the nation, yet gathered in spirit, to you who are vexed day by day with the unlawful deeds in the great confusion of a world that hath forgotten its maker and despise his ordinances. Grace, mercy, and peace be multiplied unto you from our Father which is in heaven, who sent Jehovah to be our guide, faithful witness, who have purchased us with his own precious blood, his own lifestyle. I, Michael, me, an elder and partaker of this affliction of the gospel, the message, written unto you, not of my own will, nor by impulse of my own heart, but by the Spirit of him who sent me. I have laid a heavy burden, which has laid a heavy burden upon my soul. From a word was delivered unto me in the night watches, a vision concerning the great falling away from the holy ordinances of marriage, in rampant confusion that covereth the earth as a thick and suffocating darkness. I have seen with my eyes the plagues of this generation, and my spirit grieves within me. The marriages of our people crumble as clay in rain, and they who once swore before Jehovah now tear the covenant with their tears garment. The spirit of whoredom have gone forth and across the land. Men and women call their fornication by pleasant names. Open relationship, consensual non-monogamy, as the remaining abomination removes the stench thereof from the nostrils of the Most High. But their fathers followed Jehovah. These children follow destiny. Therefore, the Spirit of the Lord constrained me to speak with you by the way of parables, dark speeches, similitudes. And thus saith the Lord through the mouth of his prophet, I will open my mouth in parables, in orthodox sayings of old, which it tells you right here, which you heard and known from and told of our fathers. And we might as well look at the scriptures, Psalm 78 and verse 2 and 3, and it tells us right there. I will open my mouth in parables, utter dark sayings of old, which you heard in known, and our fathers have told us. So we see this here. This is clear. And you see it again and again. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. And that's showing you again Hosea 12:10, which you'll see here. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So it's nothing I'm telling you that you're not seeing here. But now hear me, ye who have ears. There's a spirit abroad in the land, and his name is Destiny, someone we've been speaking of. The child of dynasty. Most people ain't thought about that. The merchant of smoke, the architect of emptiness, that sells to nothing unto the sons of men. Destiny have 666 wares upon his table, and every wares is smoke dressed as substance. And concerning marriage, Destiny have opened a new marketplace, wherein he sells the phantom of love without covenant, the pleasures of flesh without laws of Jehovah, in the freedom of the harlot, as though they were the liberty of the spirit. Thus said the Lord through the mouth of his prophets. We'll see this in Idris. 2nd Idris, chapter 15, verse 5 and 6. Let's make sure we look at that one. 2nd Idris 15, 5 and 6. It says, behold, remember, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, destruction, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. I hope y'all paying attention to this. I really hope you guys are paying attention to this. Those are fulfilled on what we have done. And all the way up to 2026. I know a lot of people not catching that, but that's okay. And I, Michael, say unto you, the plagues concerning marriage have already begun. They shall increase until Jehovah brings judgment upon the house of harlotry and restore the true bride unto the rightful place. And this is the problem with a lot of people. And one of the biggest things is, see, a lot of people like to point fingers at always other people thinking, as I tell everybody, don't ever think for somebody else, ever. Because when we do that, that's sin. Everybody follow me? When people think for someone else, as the man went into the temple to pray, he thinking for someone else, as this publican. See, this is the biggest issue, and this is why sin is sin. This is why people who even do this in this day and time, they think for other people, and they should. They only should think for themselves. But it gets better. The evil wife in the secret channels. I want you to pay close attention to what's getting ready to happen, because we're getting ready to read the parable. And it says, I, Michael, received word of the Lord in the watches of night, and the Lord said unto me in a vision, set thy face towards the daughters of this land, and speak a dark parable unto them. For their hearts is waxed gross, the ears are dull of hearing, the eyes have closed. And I say unto you, there was a certain landowner who had a great field. In the midst of the field, he had a wife, and was a wellspring of water. And he rejoiced in her, for she was pleasant to the eye, and her waters were sweet to the taste. And his well was adorned with stones and in great price. And the people of the city came in and marveled at his beauty, saying, surely no water is as pure as the water from this man's well. But hear me today, ye are the scattered to the four corners. The well loved and praised of men more than the approval of the landowner. Her desire and admirations of this world was more than the covering of her own husband. Now there came into this well a merchant, a man with smooth words, a man of smooth words and pleasant appearance, and called himself Destiny. Destiny carried upon his back a great sack. Within the sack were 666 wares, and everywhere was smoke wrapped in silk. And I tell you, those who have passed over, they're the only ones going to get this. This same merchant walked the streets in the city today. He sitteth in your living rooms. He speaks through your screens and your telephones. Destiny has set the table beside the well and said, thou art too beautiful to belong to one man only. Remember, I have brought thee freedom to give thy water unto whomsoever thou choosest. And I warn you, every daughter of Israel who heareth these same words in her own life, that is the voice of Destiny sitting at his table beside your well. In the well, hearken unto the voice of Destiny. For his words were as honey in his mouth, though they were gall in the belly. Destiny opened his sack and showed her the nothing, a mirror of smoke that reflected whatsoever the gazer desired to see. And the well looked into the mirror and saw herself as a queen, as a spirit that needeth no master. But the landowner, whose heart was bound to the laws of Moses, knew that the ground around the well was treacherous, full of hidden channels. For in the secret place of the earth, the ground had opened his mouth on the polluted waters in the city gutters, and it drank deeply from the filth thereof. And the well thought it appeared and brought forth pure water. But secretly drawed from these hidden channels, the sweetness was a lie. It was cloaked in bitterness beneath. For in the day she present herself before the landowner as a meek and loyal well, as a wife that was never turned aside from her covenant, she cooked his bread and washed his garment and spoke softly in the hearing of the elders. But when the night came, the landowner journeyed to the far fields, and the well opened her channels. Interesting, isn't it? Into the polluted waters to receive the filth of strange men, even when Delilah received the lords of the Philistines into her chambers while Samson slept. I, Michael, saying to you, this is happening in your houses today. This exact thing. And like the two wicked elders in the book of Susanna who bore false witness against a righteous woman, so did the spirit of those elders enter into this well. Not that the man lusted after her, but that she took on the spirit of wicked judges, judging her own husband unworthy while she herself wallowed in secret sin. For she judged her husband as elders judge Susanna. That happens all the time. Happens even to me all the time. It happens to every man all the time. Women all the time. Plotting in darkness, bearing false witness in the light, saying unto the people, my husband is cold, my husband provideth not, but all her words were lies, as the word of the elders lies against the righteous Susanna. Destiny sat and smiled, and the well purchased the nothing, the freedom to fornicate in secret and pleasures the double life, and she paid with her soul and did not know it. But the landowner, in his journeys, came upon another spring, a desolate part of his field, as a small, humble, hidden among the rocks, and the waters made no sound. And the spring was not adorned with precious stone, but no man praised it. And the world hated this spring, for it followed the laws of Moses by the commandments from Jehovah. And its waters were not mingled with the waters of the city. She was in the world, but not of the world. The woman of the city mocked her, saying, why doest thou submit unto thy husband? But the hidden spring answered them not, for her covenant was not with the city, but with the deep places of the earth, where Jehovah stored his living waters. I say unto you, who are mocked for your obedience, you are the hidden spring. And the landowner kneeled to the taste of the water and found it in the living waters, pure and undefiled from the secret storehouses of snow. And he returned and looked upon his praise well, and saw that the grass around it was green and lush, but it was greenness of a grave, the covering of the dead things beneath. And the landowner wept. And he tried to make a woman of whoredom into a housewife. And the spirit of destiny had devoured her from within, and there was nothing left but smoke and the sound of running waters that ran into destruction. And the landowner cried out, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? Who shall show me the true spring? This is interesting. This was interesting. I want to show you something where we're going to get into this. See, what we have to do, we have to take this, and what we're going to do, we're going to look at some framework. So we're going to take this here, and we're going to look at the principles, the statutes, and the framework, because we're going to do some identification on how I'm going to help you here. That's why I said we got to put in, make sure you have your pens and papers, because we're getting ready to put in some work. So what I'm going to do, we'll take this here, and we're going to look at this here. And the tokens of the parables, we got to take this, and where I'm going to help you to understand partially what's going on. We're going to get some more information on this. I'm going to dig more into it. So this is identifying those tokens. See, first, token one is the well, the praise wife who is adorned and admired publicly. Everybody follow me. It's everybody listening to this. The first token is the praise wife who is adorned and admired. Publicly. Token two, the hidden channels. See, this is the secret sins and forbidden connections opened by night. This is all in the parable. But I'm showing you how you see it, how you can piece it apart and get the understanding. Token three, the merchant destiny. This is the spirits that sells the nothing, the false freedom, the false love, the false anonymity. You follow me? Token four, the mirrors of smoke. The deception that shows the gazer whatsoever she desires to see rather than truth. All this is in the parable I just read to you. Token 5. The hidden springs, the true wife, sealed, meek, hated by the world, obedient to the law of Moses. Token 6. The landowner. The husband bound by the laws of Moses who discerns between living water and gutter water. So we need to understand that. We need to get a better understanding on that. So we're going to understand these tokens. And I'm going to start breaking these down for you. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to sit there and see this here, and we're going to break them down. So I want you to do this here. We're going to look at the token. We're going to look at this, because on the second one, I'm not going to do this. But on the first one, we're going to make sure we all understand what is going on. So the first token, we want to make sure we look at the wife, the gift, the bearer of fruit, the woman, the bride. We're going to look at a couple of verses. We're going to look at Genesis 2:18. Let's look at that. In Genesis 2:18, let's help us understand this. We're going to look at Genesis 2:18. We also want Proverbs 5:3 and 4. And we want Proverbs 5:15. So we're going to still put it over here, even though it's right there. But we want 5:15, and we're also going to grab 17. So what we want to do is understand this. This is decoding this. This is decoding that. So understand how this goes. Understand what's going to happen. And it says, and the Lord said, it is not good that man, male or female, should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. Make sure you understand that. Make sure you understand what that token as we decoding that. Because in the laws of Jehovah established a wife, it is as a gift. So he said that. He made sure this is clear. So the well, we got to understand, the well was made to be a what? A helpmeet, a seal, a foundation, a fountain for one man. But this well loved the praises of the city more than the approval of the landowner. You guys following it? Are you guys following me? This is clear question. Clear question. Again, through Solomon, we're going to see something. We're going to see this in Proverbs 5:3 and 4. And it says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb. Her mouth is smoother than oil. Her ends is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Interesting. But we want to pair another one with it, which it goes over here in Proverbs 5:15. Drink water out of thy own cistern. Drink water out of thy own cistern, and running water out of thy own well. Verse 17, and let them be only thy own. Let them be only thy own, not the strangers with thee. You guys following this? Remember, decoding token 2. Because we're going to end up putting together and running many scriptures. But I'm showing you how you can see something and how you can understand this and what's going on. So now we're going to look at the hidden channels, and we're going to decode that part. The hidden channels. The hidden channel is decoding the token 2. We're decoding adultery, breach of marriage, unfaithfulness, spiritual corruption, idolatry, covenant breaker. We have to understand that. That we have to understand. So we got to pull all these keys in there to where we can get it. Let's go through here and we're going to understand this. This is how we're going to understand, because it's going to get real deep real quick in a minute. Now, first one, we're going to look at Exodus chapter 20 and verse 14. 20 and 14. We want Leviticus 20 and 10. We want Exodus 20 and 16, which we can still use this one, but I'm going to still put them over here separate. 20 and 16. So now let's look at these, and we're gonna see what's happening. Because we're decoding the hidden channels. So it says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Keep that in mind. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Leviticus 20 and 10, it tells you, and the man that committeth adultery, thou shalt not commit adultery, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. You follow it? And thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So we're looking at these hidden channels that are secret acts of adultery, the message, the meetings, the double life in this world. It conceals by night, but Jehovah sees us as he sees today. So this is what's going on. In the draw of the water from these the provision, you know what I'm saying? These sources which you don't supposed to. These prohibited sources, or these forbidden sources, better to say, brings her husband low by the tenderness that conceals destruction. So she carries the spirit of two wicked elders that was doing Susanna, who bore false witness against the righteous. And that's why it says this, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Don't be bearing false witness against your husband. In secret or not in secret. Don't bear false witness to him that is not true. Remember when I said everybody don't think for nobody? Remember I was saying that? Everybody understand that, right? Don't think for nobody. Think for self. But we have the biggest problem is people like to think for other people. We have token 3. Let's look at this. Token 3, we're going to decode it with Exodus 20 and 3 and Exodus 34:12 and Jeremiah 2:10. Let's look at those. We got to look at those. Exodus 20 and 3. And we're going to look at Exodus 34 and 12. And we're going to look at Jeremiah 2 and 10. And this is the key here. 20 and 3, it says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And this is key here because it goes on with it. It says, take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. For Passover of the isles of Chittim, and sins unto Kedar, and consider diligently and see if there be such a thing. And remember what we're doing. He's the architect of emptiness. He's the child of dynasty. He's this ancient serpent in this merchant garment. And the laws of Jehovah already warned us. Destiny in its snares is 666 words, 666 oppositions unto Jehovah within there are 666 variations. This end is infinite, complicated, irregular network of passages, of snares, that can get you. So the strange man is the other God. The hidden channel is the idol's altar. We got to make sure we get this all together. Look at token 4. Token 4. Token 4 is, you see it's getting serious. Token 4 is Deuteronomy 12:8 and Proverbs 16:25. Let's look at them. Then we'll put them together. So Deuteronomy 12:8. And Proverbs 16:25. To understand what's going on, thou shalt not do after all things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. You don't do that. There is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. The mirror of smoke is the nothing, the vanity that shows the gazers whatever your spirit desires, rather than truth of Jehovah and the laws of Moses, but he warned you. Ye should not do after the thing that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. Tells you that in the law. Solomon confirmed it in Proverbs. There's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is the way of death. The mirror of smoke, the device by which the destiny replaced the truth of Jehovah with the desires of flesh, so that your spirit sees itself as a queen. When she is a slave to destiny. Sees freedom when she has purchased bondage. You guys following this? Let's look at this. Token 5. We have Songs of Solomon to decode this. The Songs of Solomon to decode this. Let's look at this. Let's pull this closer. So we got to go in here. We got to go to Songs of Solomon. We got to go to Songs of Solomon 4 and 12. Songs of Solomon 4 and 12. And we want Songs of Solomon 4:15. These, even though they're in the same area, but we still want to grab them separately. Songs of Solomon 4 and 15. We want Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 26 and 1. I want you to pay real close attention because it's parabolic. It's real simple, but it's parabolic language. The garden enclosed is my sister. The garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse. A spring shut up, fountain still. A fountain of gardens, a well of living waters, a stream from Lebanon. Blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be doubled. It's helping us to understand that the Lord, through the mouth of his prophets, the garden enclosed is my sister. Again, they tell you the fountain of gardens, the hidden springs, the seal wife, the bearer of fruit. Keep that in mind. The woman, the spirit, the guide, whose spirit guides the flesh in righteousness. She is hated by the world because she is sealed. The sealed fountain is an offense, even unto the spirit of this age. So, which demands all the fountains to be open unto all men. Jehovah declared her to be blessed. That's why it says, blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife. That's why it says that. So we're going to look at the last one, and then we're going to start breaking everything down. Let's look at this. Token 6 is Ephesians 5:23 and Genesis 3:16. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. And this is where then it's going to get really hairy real quick. In Ephesians 5:23, and we're going to look at Genesis 3:16. And watch what happens. We decoding this. And this is on the landowner. It says, the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow in thy conception, and in sorrow shall thou bring forth children, works. And thy desire shall be unto thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So the landowner is the husband, who walks according to the laws of Moses. Moses establishes this headship where he shows you here. He even said in Genesis 3:16 that I just read. The landowner discerns between the praised well and the hidden springs because the heart was bound by the laws of Moses, not by the wisdom of the world. Even the same as he that judges by Jehovah's law can see through the mirrors and through the smoke. You guys follow me? I want you to see something where we look at this to where we can start tearing some of this down. Keep this in mind. I'm going to hold it up here. We're going to look at something in Romans chapter 1, looking at verse 20, somewhere we always go to. It says, for the invisible things of him are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even in his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse. But I want to pair something with this to where we'll make sure we get this as we go through it. In 1 Corinthians 2:13, we'll see this here. 1 Corinthians 2:13, we'll see this. Which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teaches, but which the Holy Ghost teaches, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. So what I'm going to do, I want to lead you somewhere to where we can get some understanding on everything what I've been doing. Because I'm going to lead you to where we're going to see from the carnal side, and we're going to go to the spiritual side to get the spiritual understanding that we'll be without excuse before Jehovah. So seeing it carnally, you see the well in spring. You see the well in spring. You see water in channels. Everybody with me? You see the well in spring. You see water in channels. You see the merchant with a sack. You see the landowner in his field. These are the things that are made visible, things of creation. If you don't see this, I don't know what to tell you, because this is clear right now what I'm talking. If you see the well in springs, so you know you can see both, because they're water, either the water is in a well or it's in a spring. You got water and you got channels of water. You got the merchant with the sack. You got the landowner in his field, the things that are made visible, things of creation. If you don't see these, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I really don't. The well is a hole in the ground. The channel is a passage of water. The merchant is a man who sells wares. The spring is a source of water from the earth. If you don't understand it, just say you don't understand it, but don't sit there and lie to yourself and just saying you understand, you really don't. This is why a lot of us are going to get screwed over. But I'm going to show you the spiritual understanding, because the spiritual understanding teaches what the Holy Ghost teaches, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. The well is the spirit of the wife. You mark it. Mark it. The well is the wife. It's deep. It's inside. The well is the wife, her inner condition before Jehovah. The channel are the pathway by which the spirits either receives living water from Jehovah or polluted water from the world. The merchant is the principality of opposition, destiny, the child of dynasty, who traffics in the soul through the 666 ways of smoke. You see how this is going? Excuse me. So the mirror of smoke is a doctrine. All this we should be writing down, because I'm telling you, I'm tearing everything down for you to where you can understand each piece. The mirror of smoke is the doctrine of vanity, which the world replaces Jehovah's truth with flesh of desires. And this is why I also told people a couple of years ago, a few years back, told people, come and stand before the mirror naked and tell me what you see. See, the hidden spring is the spirit of a meek wife who is sealed unto one man and follows the laws of Moses regardless of the world's mockery. Regardless of this. The landowner is the spiritual covering. I'm going to say it again. The landowner is the spiritual covering, the husband who walks according to the commandments and discerns between the holy and the profane. So, for in the natural world, the polluted well will appear clean to the surface. I was looking at a show this past week where they got this channel of water that's coming, but even though it's running water, it was still polluted because once one person drank it, they got sick. And it was clearly running water. It'll appear clean, but at the surface, but its hidden channels is drawn from the gutters. And what was happening is it can be drawn for something that an animal that died in that water that could have been a mile up, and it didn't have a chance to clean itself as it went through. So also the spiritual world, a wife will appear meek and holy into the congregation. This is male or female. They're going to appear meek and holy unto the congregation, while the spirit is open unto strange flesh by night. So the visible things of Jehovah, what we look at, his law of marriage, his commandments of fidelity, his judgments against adultery, are clearly seen by the things that are made. The well that is sealed is the wife. That is the faithful. The well that is open to strange channels is the wife that has committed adultery. Therefore, they are without excuse. And they cannot say, I don't know the law. It's why we're doing this today. You cannot say you don't know the law. For the creation itself preaches the law for those who have eyes to see. Let's dig a little bit more into this, and we're going to find some things out. See, the statue of the sealed fountain, the carnal way of seeing this was the seal of the stone that kept the water pure and prevented contamination from the dust of the beasts of the field. So to spiritually understand this, the wife's seal is the covenant of Jehovah. She keep the spirit pure, prevent contamination from strange flesh of the world. Let me bring this a little bit closer because we just came from here, but I'm gonna go back there. We're gonna look at this in Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10. It says, and the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife is the adulterer, and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. These statutes are absolute. In the carnal world, the well that draws from the city gutters will poison every man who drinks from it. The landowner must condemn this entire well and seal it forever. So looking at this, in the spiritual world that we're going to see, we're going to understand something. The spiritual world, the wife opens her channels. The spiritual world, the wife, she opens her channels until strange man's poisons this covenant. So this death spoken in Leviticus It's not just about death of the flesh. It's about death of the spirit, was sealed by Jehovah's own witness to corruption of the fountain that was meant to give life, turning living water into the water of death. And this death spreads as a channel, and it reaches the husband, the children, the household, the congregation. That channel just keep going. Polluted waters flowing downhill. The pollutions of the covenant flows into life in each and every life it even touches. Death is just rolling downhill, flowing. The second one is the ordinance of one flesh. The second one was the ordinance of one flesh. Seeing it carnally, the spring comes from deep places of the earth. People think that, oh, that's a good place, but that's from one source. The water, that's the issue from that source, is one water, invisible, flowing as one stream from one fountain. But when we understand this, the marriage covenant was established with the laws of Moses that followed and declared. I want to show it to you to where we can see, to where I don't want to talk over nobody's head. I want to make sure we're all sitting here, we're on the same understanding. In Genesis chapter 2:24, it says, therefore shall a man, male or female, leave his father and mother, cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. It's clear. The marriage covenant was established in one law of Moses before the fall. It was established there. The one word is not a suggestion. The word one, right there, that I've been talking, one flesh, one is not a suggestion. I want everybody to put that in the chat. One is not a suggestion. It's a statute. One is not a suggestion. Everybody agree, just put in one. And I know what you're saying. You just can put in one. But one is not a suggestion, it's a statute. As a spring have one source, it cannot have two sources. Without becoming mingled, watch what I'm saying here. Without becoming mingled in polluted stream. So the marriage have one covenant, it cannot have two masters without becoming a divided and corrupted house. Everybody follow me? So this ordinance was written before the serpent ever entered into the garden. Before it ever entered into the garden. Which to say is this. It was established in perfection. The garden. It was established in perfection. Jehovah designed it. In no fall of man, in no wisdom of the world has aimed what Jehovah established in perfection. Interesting, ain't it? So this is a threefold judgment against the praise well. This is the third fact that we were doing. Just following this, all you got to do is follow what I'm doing. So the third fold is judgment against the praise well. So seeing this, when we're looking at this carnally, then we're going to move spiritually, but carnally, the well was contaminated. That is, contaminated may be tested in three ways. It by its channels, by its taste, and by its effect upon those who drink. You follow what I'm saying? That's why I told you about that one story, which was a true story. I was looking at that show. But when we look at this in the spiritual way, when we see this in the spiritual way, the praise well is taught threefold. First, she had broken the seventh commandment. And let's look at that. Let's look at this. The second commandment. And we're going to sit there and see this. And we'll see this in Exodus chapter 20 and 14. You see, we got to keep pulling up all these. And it says, 20 and 14. I'm doing 20 and 20. And it says, thou shalt not commit adultery. And then we see this because we see that for that hidden channel is a pathway for adultery, a breach of the marriage. That's what this is talking about. And the second is 20:3, which we'll look at here. We'll go up a little bit. And say, thou shalt not have no other gods before me. You see that goes there. So for her excuses for her husband before the elders while concealing her own sin, even as the two wicked elders bore false witness against Susanna, the third commandment was broken in the act of unfaithfulness for adultery, and never a single sin, but braiding of sin. This cord of this third strand that bind the adulteress to death. The fourth was the warning upon the death upon the spirit. So, seeing it carnally, the poison well do not die suddenly. That well do not just all of a sudden just stop running or just suddenly die. That just don't happen. That's not true. You can even see, go where you see streams of water running, it just don't suddenly just stop. The poison enters slowly and the water becomes blackish and by degrees, and some people continue to drink because the change is gradual. Not instant, it's gradual. Let's go back and look at some of this. And same thing we see in Leviticus 20 and 10. And he said, the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even that man that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adultery and adultery, they should surely be put to death. It's slow, it's just happening. The death is not just the execution of sword, but it's a slow spiritual death that enters when the covenant is broken. Looking at this in a different way. The spirit of an adulteress. Actually, I want to show you something before we get there. I want to show you something. And this is in 1 Timothy 5 and 6. Yeah. Reason why, because I beat the law. But the adulteress who loses light and prays well, lost his purity. Not in one moment by channel, night by night, but until the well that once was sweet is now bitter. So we're looking at that spirit that once was alive and now dead, but yet she lives. This is why I want you to see this where Paul said that. It says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. That's why I needed that there. Because that's one thing. The channel by channel, night by night, until the water that once was sweet is now bitter. The spirit that once was alive is now dead. Yet, while she lives. The worn well is a well that's still drawing water, still serving, still appearing alive, but the water is dead. The spirit is dead. She knows it, not because the death was gradual. This is the same for people who attend these same places, they so-called church buildings. Still going to appear alive. And the same thing, it goes under that fifth statute. The statute of the hidden springs, the carnal sin, the spring that comes from deep places of the earth, from beneath rocks, from storehouses of snow, that brings forth water that is colder, purer, more nourishing, more than water of any well that draws from the surface. But the spiritual understanding of that hidden spring is the wife who draws her spirit from the deep places of Jehovah, not from the surface of the wisdom of this world. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Everything I'm talking about, we already ran, but I'm showing you how this actually works. In Songs of Solomon, we're looking at this in 4:15. It says, a fountain of gardens, a well of living waters, a stream from Lebanon. A stream from Lebanon. It's called the fountain of gardens. You see, that's plural. Not saying a fountain of gardens, not a fountain of gutters. Her water produced gardens. Produced gardens. And then let me show you what it's produced, because that's the fruit of the Spirit. That's what it was getting you to. In Galatians chapter 5, picking it up at verse 22, 23, it tells you. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. This is called the streams of Lebanon. The streams of Lebanon. The high places, the mountain of purity, which place the snow stored, the hidden springs, not hidden because she is ashamed, but because of the source is deep. Her obedience becomes from deep places of the law. Jehovah himself is her defender. She shall be sealed, her fruits, and her faithfulness is kept for her. You got to look at the second one. Same thing as 6, because you got to look at the ordinance of discernment. Carnally, because I'm gonna keep showing you carnal and spiritual. Carnally, the landowner tastes his water before he drinks it. He gonna taste it before he drinks it. He looks at the color, he smells the scent. He does all these things before anything happens. And he tastes a small portion of it. Why? Why do he do that? The fool drinks whatsoever is sweet and asks no questions. See, this is the same as people who learn from streams and do not try the source. But when we want to understand it spiritually saying, the husband who judges by the laws of Moses discerns between praise well and the hidden springs. I'm going to show you everything I'm saying, because of all this stuff we got to go through. In Ezekiel 44:23 and 23, it tells us. It says, they should teach my people the difference between the holy and the profane. They should cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. That's all we were saying. This has to happen. The praised well appeared clean on the surface. Her grass was green. The stones were precious. Her praises were many. But the greenness was the greenness of the grave. And the precious stones was the adornment of a harlot. The praises of men, the currency of dynasty. The men who judge by Jehovah's law is not deceived by the surface of their sweetness. He knows that the living water have no need of endowment. The spring is a seal needed, no praise from the city. So for her witness is Jehovah, and it's not unto men. This is why we have to look at the same warning that came from the 666 wares. That's why we have to look at that. The carnal way of seeing this, the way people see this. A merchant man who sells smoke sells it quickly. Tell me they don't do it. If he's going to sell smoke, he's going to sell it quickly. Because why? Smoke dissolves. Have anybody, tell me just their eyes and ends, have anybody tried to sell you something, they try to sell it to you quickly. They want to sell it to you quickly. A lot of times they want to sell it to you at night. But they want to sell it to you quickly. They want to give you ultimate, well, if you don't get it today, it's going to be gone tomorrow. Quickly. It happens. They sell a smoke majority of the time. For smoke dissolves and the buyer sees that he have purchased nothing. Because once it dissolves, then you find out you got nothing. And then the merchant moves on from another town to town, selling fast and fleeing before the smoke clears. That's all he's doing. This is all he's doing. See, destiny is a merchant who makes the wife moving from compromise to compromise before she has time to see each purchase is basically nothing. That's the difference. 666 ways of opposition to Jehovah within the 666 ways of variation. Within each variation, 666 ways more infinite, complicated, irregular networks of passages and pathways, making it difficult to find this way for you to do it. So when we see in the carnal world, and this carnal buyer of smoke loses only money. Keep that in mind, losing only money. The buyer of nothing in the spiritual world, it's different. It's different. You losing to nothing, you losing your soul. Let me bring this a little bit closer. And we want to look at a couple of things in Luke 22:31. We also want to see Proverbs 5:9-11. But it said, the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, remember Satan have desire to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. This is the catch. Lest thou give thy honor to another, and thy years unto the cruel, lest the strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in thy house of strangers, and thou mourn at last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. Why? Why are you going to do it now? It's already done. This is going to happen for so many people who's buying smoke. See, destiny moves to the next well, leaving behind only ashes where the fountain once stood. Because its desires is to sift you as wheat. But seeing the spirits, see, they honor in years. So we look at this, the life and the life force is given away to cruel and strangers. Wealth and labor, substance of the soul, are spent in the house of strangers. The world of these foreign spirits. We, people in these buildings and everywhere else, you're in a house of strangers. The result is mourning of the flesh, of the body are being consumed. They're spent, exhausted, and there's nothing left. And then people cry back to Jehovah, Lord, Lord. Why? Why? Why do we do this? This is the ashes where a fountain once stood. Life force is consumed. And only now things remains there is death. And then, so what's the reason you call Jehovah? Makes no sense. This is the promise even of the virtual wife in the carnal. Seeing the spring of living water causes the field around to flourish. The trees grow tall, the fruit abundant, the animals gather, the landowner prosper. But when we see it spiritually, we got to understand what's going on. And it tells you in this, and it tells you right there, Sirach, and we're going to go back here to 26:1-2. Actually, it's already over. It says, blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be doubled. A virtuous woman rejoice her husband, for he shall fulfill his years in his life in peace. Exactly. Beautiful statement. Beautiful statement. But the number of his days shall be doubled. The carnal world, the living water sustain the body and prolong life. But the spiritual world, the virtuous wife sustains the spirit of her husband and prolongs his life of the covenant. So she is the meek spring that is despised by the world and precious in the sight of Jehovah. This promise is double the days, not merely a promise, but it's a lifelong and life being filled. It's a double life. Peace, fruit of the Spirit that goes through it. You have this nice one that you still can look at. See, when you're looking at judgment upon the seed of unrighteous bed, carnally seeing it that the spring is polluted and the pollution do not remain the source alone. But it flows downstream to every field where the water touches, it's going to defile it automatically. Every crop that drinks it from the bears of this tainted water, it's going to happen. This is the same thing like we say when people sit there and they want to eat all these unclean things that the Lord speaks about. And they sitting there saying, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's fine. Well, as long as I bless it, no. It's defiled. So once it's defiled, it goes in you. And then later on, you say, Lord, Lord, why? There's no reason to say it. There's no reason to say it. But many people are going to get there to it. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, looking at verse 16, it says, it's pretty clear. And it says, as comparing for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection. It's not going to happen. And the seed of the unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. It really makes it harder for us. The seed and then your fruit of your offspring's legacy. The unrighteous bed is not to come to their perfection. So in the carnal world, a poison spring cannot produce a healthy crop. Everybody follow me? An unhealthy field cannot produce a healthy crop. Do everybody agree with that? See, because anyone say an unhealthy field can still produce a healthy crop, then everybody's good. Then there's no reason for you to be baptized. You have to be baptized. Because a poison field cannot produce a healthy crop. In the spiritual world, the adulterous union cannot produce a righteous inheritance. You follow me? Let's look at something. Let's judge this a little bit different. In the laws of Moses in Deuteronomy 24, and we're going to look at verse 16. You got to look at this piece of text. It says, the father should not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man, every male and female should be put to death for their own sins. God is just. He's just. This establishes an eternal principle of individual accountability. Knowing this law, no child should be put to death for the sins of the father. So if your fathers and your mothers, your forefathers ate anything that was unclean, did anything that was wrong back there, you will not die for that. We're going to be getting into this way later. You will not die for that. No father shall be put to death for the sins of that child. Every soul standeth before Jehovah for his own sin. Every soul beareth his own iniquity. This is the law of personal judgment. You can't even get around this. You can't even get around it. Yet there exists even a deeper mystery to this. See, looking at the dark truth of this, just looking at the dark truth of this, the carnal mind can't even comprehend it. I'm being just straight up. And it kind of, why? Because the judgment is individual. The environment is generational. Did you get it? This is why they can't comprehend this. While judgment is individual. Judgment is individual. The environment is generational. That's why we're here. You guys catching what I'm saying? So the child is not condemned for the father's sin, but the child is born into the pollution that the father's sin have created. You catch that? Why? Because judgment is the individual. The environment is generational. That's why we're here. So the child is not condemned for the father's sin, but the child is born into the pollution. So we born here into the father's sin that he had created. So this is the distinction between the legal guilt and environmental corruption. Everybody follow me? Everybody follow me? This is what's going on. This is why we got to tear into this. The spiritual understanding. So when the father breaks the covenant, you got to look at that. The father, he breaks the covenant with Jehovah, and he do it through adultery, idolatry, whoredom, or rebellion. He do not commit a personal sin. He pollutes the spiritual ground upon which his children shall be born. He opened a hidden channel in the earth, in the gutter of waters, and his iniquity floweth into the wells which his children shall drink. You follow me? So looking at this, though the children are not judged for the father's sin, because Deuteronomy 24:16 tells you this, that's right here. That's right here. They are born into the consequences of that sin, inheriting the polluted field, a defiled well, and a broken covenant environment. Now you follow me. Let's go a little bit deeper. We'll get we gonna get this. we gonna get this. Okay, let's look at something in Exodus 20:5. Same place that that's why we constantly. It says, "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for the Lord thy God am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity upon the father, upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." Interesting statement. Interesting statement. This is the meaning of where the iniquity of our fathers, visiting the children. That is not a condemnation, but it's an unwelcome guest. See, where the iniquity of the fathers visit, that's the issue. The children is not a condemnation, but as a unwelcome guest. A spirit that dwells in the house, a pollution that taints the water. So indeed, in these works, the spirit's mysteries deepens, for the child is not just a victim of circumstance who is nullified, but is an heir to the spiritual war that is already raging within the borders of his own inheritance. Everybody follow me? Everybody with me? I know I'm saying a mouthful here, because we're dealing with legal things. We're dealing with legal things that has to happen. So same again, the father. So with our forefathers, the children, we are not as condemnation. We are not as condemnation, but we are as unwelcome guests. So the spirit that dwells in the house, a pollution that taints the water, our knowledge, so the spiritual mystery is going to deepen for us. So we are not just victims of circumstance who will is nullified. Our will is not nullified, but we are heirs to a spiritual war that is already raging within this country of our own inheritance, because this is our inheritance here right now as flesh. So this is why it says, "And visiting iniquities does not force the child to sin, but it makes the sin path of least resistance." You follow me? Of least resistance. It is a current in the river, and its slant of the ground, the poison that makes the water defiled taste sweet to the thirsty soul. You follow me? So as we on this same path in America, in different places in the world, this current of this river is we're still on that current. So the slant of the ground, the poison that still makes the water defiled taste sweet. So the child becomes the true victim, not at birth, but the moment of accountability for this child. You follow me? For the moment of accountability. So instead of crying out for a pure fountain, They are willing to choose to drink from the polluted well their fathers dug. I know people sitting there like, are you serious? Play it back. Because in the moment of surrender, this is what we have to do. In the moment of surrender, that the Father visiting, iniquity becomes their own. You follow me? In the moment of surrender, that the fathers visited, iniquities becomes their own. Dwelling spirit, their tragedy is sealed not by the battle they were born into, but by they surrendered to the enemy that already encamped in their land. So we're already here. So this is how we can get caught up. Let me put some more here. We got Deuteronomy 24:16. We got Exodus 5, but I want to put one more. Let's put also Ezekiel here, just so where we can get some understanding. Ezekiel 18:20. So, same thing as he said. 25, it says, thou shalt not bow thyself down nor serve them, because we're victims by circumstance, nor serve them, for the Lord thy God is a jealous God, visiting iniquities upon the fathers. So he's going to visit here because of that upon the children of the third and fourth generation of them that hate it. So we don't just fall to this stuff just because of that. Deuteronomy 24:16, for the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. So we can't be put to death just because we're here. Just because we're here, that don't mean we're going to die for what our father's done. We just don't do those acts. So that's why it says in Ezekiel 18:20, it says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. So the spirit that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear iniquity of the fathers, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. You see what's going on here. So how do we reconcile seemingly these contradictory truths? It's not. So on one hand, Jehovah declares he's a jealous God. Yet in the same law, he states the father should not be put to death. And then he confirms it. But the answer lies in the profound distinction between legal guilt. Everybody say that with me. Legal guilt. Everybody say that with me. Legal guilt. Because the distinction is there. Legal guilt is where this is. I want everybody to say that in there. Put that in chat. You know what I'm saying. I want you to put in there. Legal guilt. That's what I want everybody to have there. This is what we need to understand. Each and every person here. Legal guilt. Because this is what we're dealing with. And we got to look at the distinction of this. The distinction of this legal guilt. Why? Because legal guilt, and then we got environmental corruption. We want to understand those two things. Legal guilt, including environmental corruption. And we can have the moderators put environmental corruption there, because legal guilt and environmental corruption, because the iniquity of our fathers visit the children, not as judged with a sentence, but as an unwelcome guest. That's what's happening. So the spirit that dwells in the house, a pollution that taints with the water, this means that the child is not just a victim of circumstance, whose will is nullified, but rather the heir of the spiritual war that is already raging within the borders of our own inheritance that we're dealing with. You follow me? So this system, this circumstance of this battlefield is not the verdict. The children do not bear the guilt, but we do inherit the ground. You follow me? We don't bear the guilt of our forefathers, but we do inherit the ground. The son is not condemned for the father's adultery, but is born in the house where the spirit of whoredom has been made the welcome guest. The daughter is not judged for her mother's idolatry. She is raised in the field where the idols are buried and the ground is cursed. Makes the sin path least resistance to us. You follow me? Because if they're already doing something, it makes you least resistance to it. That's why it made people least resistant to being a Baptist, least resistant to becoming a Mormon, least resistant to becoming a Protestant, least resistant to becoming a Methodist. You became least resistant to becoming these things. Everybody follow me now? This is what's going on. So the current of the river is slant of the ground, the poison that makes the defiled water taste sweet to a thirsty soul. That's what happens. So this pollution of the broken covenant. The father's sin do not transfer legal guilt. See, we can throw that out the window. The father's sin, because we are here in America and other parts of the world, it does not transfer legal guilt from our fathers. Everybody with me there? Yeah, I want to make sure you don't ever try to put that on your forefathers. Our fathers' transfer is not there. For their sin is not transferred to our legal guilt with the Most High. But it do create a spiritual environment, tainted atmospheres, corrupted inheritance, where we must navigate. So as children, it becomes the true victim, not at birth, but again, at accountability. So to cry out for the pure fountain, we have to had a willingness to not drink from the polluted waters, which our fathers had dug. Y'all follow me? That's the purpose on what I'm doing. That's why I'm driving this in here. So let's look at this. When we flow from pollution, it cannot be stopped. Pollution can be stopped, though. The flow of pollution can be stopped, but only through one. It only can be stopped through one. What is that? To turn away from iniquity of our fathers, of our forefathers. The refusal to walk in their ways, the conscience of breaking that cycle. How do we do it? Repentance. Remembrance of those ways. That's why we have the book. We have to break that cycle. We have to. We have to acknowledge that their ways is not the way to go. 2, the cleansing of the source. So the sealing of the hidden channels, the restoration of the well of the living water, purification by Jehovah. Let's see how this works. We're going to go over here to Ezekiel 36. Let's go to Ezekiel 36 here. Let's look at something. We're going to go from 25 and we're going to go down some. It says, then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye should be clean. And from all your filthiness and from all your idols, I will cleanse you. A new heart will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and I will cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. It's a beautiful statement. Beautiful statement. But we have to understand how this goes, because there's two really things, and I want to show you in a more unorthodox way. The deeper statements, and then you can have this even for your meditation that you do. See, when a child they do not inherit the father's guilt, but they do inherit the father's ground. I'm just making a plain statement here. So when you inherit the father's ground, which is a living womb with a memory, if the ground is cursed with these phantom limbs of the broken covenant and in his birth, and then you got these thorns of accusations, the thistles of rebellion, the children, meaning us, we're going to eat this bitter fruit until our own repentance turn the plow against the grain of this nature. Everybody follow what I'm saying thus far. I know I'm talking something parabolic. I know I'm doing that. I purposely know I'm doing that because this ain't for everybody. So I'm purposely doing that. But we got to understand what is going on. So Jehovah planted a new seed in resurrected soil. Two, we got to look at this. So the iniquity of the fathers, the visit of the children, not as judged with a sentence, but as a claimant with a spirit that holds the mortgage on the soul's houses. That's what's going on. So it taints the water. If the well, by singing these lullabies of rebellion from the deep, it corrupts the air by exhaling the ghost and to pass through these transgressors, it worships in the night, not when the child might do, but what the Father has already done. Yet the child who cries out for Jehovah for purification initiates a new trial. You follow me? The child who cries out for Jehovah, purification initiates a new trial for you. Meaning, again, as I say all the time, many of you guys did not come by this channel by accident. You didn't come by here by accident. Many of you guys cried out, was seeking truth without caveats, without got to give them money every time you turn around, without them trying to sit there and have dominion over you, without all these things, and you just want truth, and truth sets you free. When the child cries out, Jehovah, this purification initiates a new trial for you. While guilt is personal, deliverance is generational. You follow me? The verdict can rewrite history of your entire bloodline. That's the beautiful thing. But when we look at this deeper spiritually, and we got to meditate on this. See, a child, we look at the child is born into a house of adultery, not an adulterer by birth. A child is born into a house of adultery, not an adulterer by birth. Yet he breathes the air of whoredom. Atmosphere is thick and it echoes the broken vows. The child is born into a house of idolatry, not an idolater by nature. When he walks on the ground where the shadows of false gods are buried, there's a silence in the constant storm. The child is not condemned by his recruitment in the war he did not start. The child is not guilty, but he's hunted by the spiritual debt of his fathers. You follow me? See, this is the pollution of a broken covenant, an inheritance not of sin, but of the inclination of a nature tendency of sin. So spiritually, in spiritual gravity that pulls souls towards familiar abyss on what's happening. So when you meditate on the violent hope, the flows can be stopped. The source can be purified. The children cry for Jehovah is not passive plea, but it's a spiritual declaration of war. I like to say John Keesh. See, this is what happens. This is an act of the holy treason against the establishment. This established order at the Father's house. So when he says, I will not drink from this polluted well, he has taken a hammer to the idols buried in his own heart, in his own soil. When he even hollered, the child hollered, cleanse me, O Jehovah, and make me a new fountain. He is suing for a new inheritance, even in heavenly court. Did you know that? This is what's happening with a lot of people. So we're looking at Jehovah, who is faithful in his own covenant, will not just even purify the source, but will give the child a new deed to the land, sealing this demonic channels of the past and causing living water to spring forth from the ground from which he knew only the taste of tears and guttered water. Think about that. So this child, same thing, this child, do not repent. If the same child, you same people, do not repent, do not remember, and if the mistakes the whispers, the visiting, the claimant of the voice of his own heart, the pollutions will not simply continue. It's going to compound. You know what compound is? It's going to keep piling on top. The gutter water will crave and carve deeper channels. The child will become a father and will not merely pass on pollution on these polluted ground, but a ground that's now that has now learned to crave complete poison. A cycle that accelerated until one stand in the gap, not merely to stop the flow, but reverse the crying out. Let the curse be broken. Let the ground be resurrected. Let Jehovah cleanse the house of this bloodline from the root to its branch. But many people is not going to do that. Not today. But it gets deeper. I told you it's going to get deeper. So we got to understand something. We got to look at this 10th thing, the mystery of this hope. In this examination of the law, but carnally seeing this, this landowner who wishes to know the quality of the water, he must dig to the source and examine the channels. He cannot dig by the surface alone, but the surface may appear sweet while the channel draws from corruption beneath. The spiritual understanding that the life of every wife, you hear what I'm saying? Every wife in this nation must examine herself by the surface of her reputation, by the channels of her spirit. So I'm going to speak plainly, as plainly before Jehovah. I am sealed before or open channel. That's a question for you. That's a question for you. I am a hidden spring whose water flow unto one man, or the praise well whose channels run to the gutters of the city. I make those two to you, and I'm asking you plainly. You don't have to answer here. But I'm going to show you why I'm making this statement. We'll find this in 1 Samuel 16:7. It says, but the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. I refused that. For the Lord saith not as man saith, for the man looketh upon the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh upon the heart. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. So we looking at this. Jehovah sees the channels of hidden men and these precious things that we're going through. So the judgment comes not according to the outward adornment, but according to the hidden channels of every well to be known by its waters. Every fountain shall be judged by its source. The sealed spring shall be vindicated. The open channel shall be condemned. For Jehovah, a righteous judge, his judgment searches the deep places in the earth. Hopefully we're getting this, because we're getting ready to go a little bit closer now. Let me see something. Let's get here. Let's go here. We're going to go down a little bit now. This one is the scary one. Just to let you guys know ahead of time. The rebellious wife and the golden chef. Everybody okay? I'm just asking, is everybody okay? That's a yes or no. I-A-N. Everybody okay? I see some people, no, I ain't good. It'll be all right. It's going to be okay. I seen an N in there. No, I ain't good. Okay, it'll be all right. I promise you it's going to be okay. Yeah, we're getting a couple of ends in here, but it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. We're going to go through this part here. We have to go through this. So I promise you, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Let's look at this, the rebellious wife and the golden chef. I want people to pay real close attention to what I'm going to read here. And as it goes, it says, I, Michael, me, say unto you, hearken unto another dark speech, a mystery of the covenant hidden from the wise and prudent of this world. But revealed unto babes, I speak this parable, because I seen with my own eyes the daughters of my people, casting themselves down from their place of honor, in the clay vessels of this world, rejoicing over their fall. Please pay attention to this. That ain't in it, but just please pay attention to this. And it says, there was a great craftsman, a master potter, who had his possession a stone of great price, an animate stone, which he had purchased from a far country in the whole of its substance. This stone was not like other stones of the field he had hewn from the mountain of the king. And it was shone with the light, and it was not of this world. And the craftsman fashioned from it a vessel, a cup of his own table, a vessel of honor. For the wine of his covenant was set a vessel on a shelf of pure gold, and he rejoiced of his beauty, for it was a reflection of his own glory. But the workmanship, there were many other vessels of clay and wood made common use. These vessels murmured, saying, why is this stone vessel set so high? It is the vessels, is it not a vessel as we are? I tell you, these are the voices you hear today. Who every talk show, every magazine, every woman who have rejected the law of Jehovah, to murmur. She submit. Why should she submit? Why should she obey? She is not equal. But they do not understand that the golden chef is in iniquity in his glory. The Spirit entered into them, the Spirit of destiny, who whispered into the clay vessels, tell her she is a prisoner. Tell her that golden vessel that she's a prisoner. Tell her the chef is a cage. Tell her the freedom is the floor where ye stand. And the clay vessel whispered to the stone vessel, saying, thou art a prisoner on the golden shelf. Come down and be as we are. Be filled with the common water, with the dregs of the wine. For it is not freedom the greatest good. And the stone vessels began to incline his ear to the murmuring of the clay. And the words of the clay were sweet. For they spoke of freedom from the high calling of the craftsman. And the stone vessel began to despise its own nature, and its hardness, and its own light, and its long to be as the clay. I, Michael, have watched this in my own eyes. Wives who once rejoiced in their covering, and their husband now despise it. They call their obedience oppression, their meekness weakness. The golden shelf of the covenant cage. And one day, in the act of great folly, the stone vessel cast itself down from the golden shelf and fell among the common pots. And the clay vessels rejoice. And now thou art one of us. Now thou art free. And destiny stood behind them and laughed. Another soul I had purchased to nothing. The nothing of false freedom. nothing of self-rule. When they fill the stone vessel with the dishwasher scrutiny, and with the grease of feast and sour wine of the drunk, and the light of the stone vessel began to dim, and the beauty was marred, and the song was turned to lament. For the stone vessel, in his quest for freedom, had become a slave to the desires of clay. And the craftsman came into his workshop, and he saw that the stone vessel lying in the filth, and his heart was grieved. And he said, "Thou foolish vessel, did I not purchase thee with a great price? Did I not fashion thee with my own glory? And thou hast despised thy calling and defiled thyself with the common things of this world. Thou hast sought thy freedom of the clay, but thou hast found only the bondage of corruption. For the freedom of the clay is freedom to be broken, to be cast aside, to be trodden underfoot. But thy freedom was freedom to be filled with the wine of my covenant, to be a vessel of honor, a partaker of my glory." Now we look at this. We want to understand something. Now we got to write these down. Just like I said, I'm not going to put them up, but I am going to tell them to you. So we need to look at the tokens of this parable. Token 1. And actually, I'll give you this. I'll let you look at this while we're doing that. Token 1. The stone vessel, the wife fashioned for the craftsman's glory, set in a place of honor. That's token 1. That is token 1. The wife fashioned for the craftsman's glory, set in a place of honor. Token 2. The golden shelf. That shelf is set high, not set low. That shelf is high, a place of covenant submission under the husband headship. Token 3. The clay vessel. The clay vessel is one we have to really keep an understanding on. The clay vessel is a strange woman of this age who murmurs against Jehovah order. You're going to always murmur against his order. 4, the craftsman. That's Jehovah who fashioned the wife for his purpose, the husband's glory. Then we have token 5, the floor. That's the place of common use. The floor, common use. The bondage disguised as freedom. And we need to understand that now. We have to make sure we understand what we're doing. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's go over here to Genesis, looking at chapter 5, verse 2. Let's look at something. And we also want Genesis 2:25. We're going to get an understanding. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to look at these tokens because they must be understood for these foundational precepts where we can get what's going on. But it says, man, male, female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day that they were created. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Interesting. The spirit was called woman. I want you to mark it. Mark it, marker. I want you to mark it. The spirit was called woman. But we got to deepen this. Because they were spiritually naked. Because they were both naked and not ashamed. They were both naked. This reveals when the separated woman was brought to the man. They were both already in a state of sin. You follow me? This told you going to get really hairy. Which made true spiritual union impossible. The man who was meant to be the guide by spirit could not perceive her divine function. Why? His sin blinded him. Before, when I speak of woman, these tokens, I am speaking of the separated spirit guide who was rejected from the beginning due to the pre-existence of the fallen state of man. So token 1, when we sit there and see this in Genesis 2:22, let's look at this and we're going to start pulling this together. It says, in the rib which the Lord God has taken from man, he made he a woman, and they were brought unto them, and was brought unto her, unto the man. You follow me? You follow me? So let's look at this and understand it. So this woman was brought into the man, not just as a helpmeet, but as a divine solution for nakedness, for sin. So she was the spirit guide meant to lead him back into the spiritual alignment because he was already in sin. He could not receive her spiritually. We're going to get into that too. The mystery of rejection was also revealed. And what I've been warning us for a minute. We're going to look at this in Jeremiah 13:23. People go, oh, dang, he shall be. Yeah. Can an Ethiopian change his skin or a leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. We spoke about this. You remember that? You remember we spoke about this. The man being already naked in sin was accustomed to do evil. Therefore, when the perfect good of the spirit guide was presented, he was spiritually incapable of receiving her. His rejection was not a choice, but it was a invocable outcome of a nature that he already had learned to do evil. He could not no more accept the spirit guide than a leopard will take away his spots. You get the point. Instead of entering into a covenant with her, he rejected her. And he rejected her function by defining her by flesh. The subsequent fall of stone in vessels, the first rebellion, the consequences of man. So we got to look at this. So when we're looking at that second token, that golden chef, you know, the chef, some people, chef, I ain't talking about a chef C, I'm talking about a chef like you putting something on it. The position of the rejection guy. So I set before you this mystery to where we look at this golden chef. The chef was not just a place of submission, but it was a position that the spirit guide was meant to occupy from the very beginning. The reason it was rejected and hidden in the deepest places of the law. That's why this was going on. Everybody follow me? So we look at this. This rejection is hidden in this deep place. To understand this golden chef and the first understanding that Jehovah, but in the beginning of the law, this first account from the creation, let's look at this. We're going to go over here to Genesis 1:26. Let's look at this and we're going to tear this down. 1:26. And he says, and God said, let us make man, male and female in our own image, that you see him did here. After our likeness, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth on the earth. And God created man, male and female, that you see right here. And in his own image, in the image God created he him, male and female created he them. That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep referring you there. And you see that there. You see it. So we sit there and see there's no contradiction anywhere. But I want you to mark this. Mark this well. Mark it. You got to mark it. Got to mark it. Because Jehovah created one being, man, male and a female. This is one being, a male and a female, not male or a female, not male then female, male and female. You see that? It's not male or female, not male then female, where they say it was male and female together in one creation, in one image, in one being. That confirmation gives you that male and female. It gives you that right there in 5:2. There were both for them was Adam. You see it right there, and they were called Adam. It's right there, right in front of you. Adam is not the name of man alone. Adam is male and female, one being, one creation, one image of Jehovah. You follow me? So you got to hear this and why I'm doing this in a more unorthodox way. If Adam was already male and female, if spirit and flesh were already together in one body, then legally, when Jehovah separated the woman from the man, he did not create something new. He separated something that was already there. People said, now, what? What the hell is Johnson saying? Yeah, I said it. See, the spirit woman was already within Adam, guiding him from within, functioning of this invisible half being. Jehovah took the spirit out, clothed it in flesh, and brought it back. Let's look at something. Let me prove something to you. People, what in the hell he don't? Don't worry about it. We got you. I got you. Don't worry, I got you. 4:24. Let's look at this. And it says God is a spirit, 100%. But I want to take you somewhere else. We're going to look at this over here. Let's grab this one over here. 2 Corinthians 4:18. 2 Corinthians 4:18. And while we look not on the things that which are seen, but the things which are not seen, for the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. That's the whole catch. But we're gonna get deep. Don't worry, we're gonna get way deeper than that. We get ready to take it. You better y'all got some breathing apparatus. I promise you're gonna drown because you ain't gonna be able to come back up to the top. But let's keep pushing. So this spirit unseen is eternal. It cannot be perceived with a carnal eye. Everybody follow me? So I ask you, what did Adam see when he brought the woman unto him? You follow me? That's something you to think about. What did Adam see? Because I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you what he's seeing. What did Adam see when he brought the woman unto him? But I promise you, I'm going to show it to you. I promise you that. Now, he could not see the spirit, for the spirit is invisible. You see it right there. Because God is a spirit and you can't see it. So he can only see what the spirit was wearing. People say, what? John, you tripping me out. No, I ain't tripping you out. Take your time, rewind it back, catch it. He can only see what the spirit was wearing. The flesh, the skin, the bone, the garment that Jehovah had wrapped around the spirit to give him a form. That's where these prophets came up, but we'll deal with that in a little bit. That's why we're going to deal with that in a little bit. So we got to get deeper with this mystery. So where did that flesh come from? It came from Adam's own body, the rib which he taken from him, the flesh, and from his substance. The bone was formed from his bone. When Jehovah clothed his spirit with flesh, he clothed it in Adam's own material. You follow me? But it get deeper than this. So when Jehovah brought the woman unto Adam and showed Adam a glass, the mirror was transparent, pure revelation. Jehovah set a mirror before the man. Pure, what? What in the hell? Don't worry about it. We're going to take care. We're going to take care of all of it. The woman was clothed with Adam's flesh. Was Adam's own reflection. People sitting there like, what? Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of it. So let's look at something. Let's go over here. Let's look at this. Genesis 2:23. Let's look at this. 2:23. Adam said, let's see what Adam said. When Adam looked into this glass, he looked into this mirror. Watch what he did. He looked into the mirror, and Adam said, actually, I will go up here. You see right here, it's saying right here, and made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She should be called woman because she was taken out of man. He looked at it, and that's what he did. This is not a declaration or wonder. This is a man describing his own reflection into a mirror that Jehovah set before him. And he said, this is my bone. This is my flesh. He saw himself. He identified the reflection by material he recognized. His own substance, his own garment, his own covering. So this mirror was only shown the surface, is what being refused. So the mirror cannot reveal the spirit within because the mirror only shows the clothing, but it cannot show the wearer. Adam looked into a glass that Jehovah presented unto him, and he saw nothing but the surface, his bone and his flesh, reflected back to him as another. Then said he and the prophet, actually, let me show you something. Let's look at this. 1 Corinthians, we're going to look at 13, I think it's 12. It says, now, for we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even comparing also I am known. Interesting, ain't it? Interesting, but don't worry. I told him I'm gonna show it to you. Don't worry, we ain't done. I'm gonna show it to you. So you got to mark these words in Scripture. That Adam sinned in the promise of this remedy through a glass darkly. Adam saw through the mirror, but he saw darkly without the spiritual perception. People sitting there like, what? Yeah, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm definitely gonna show it to you. So same as I tell you guys, I done told you guys for years and years and years and years and years. And what happened? You look at this reflection of the glass, and actually, let me go and get to it. I'm going to go and get to it. I want to show you something. You see that? You see that? I told you I'm going to show it to you, because I know a lot of y'all see it. Remember Hayden, Lisa? I showed you this. I showed this to you. And y'all like to play the game. Don't play the game. This was shown, was a while back. I forgot how long back I did it. But I showed you this. We did a teaching on this. And what was happening, he saw the reflection in the glass face to face with spiritual eyes open, could no longer need it. But the man saw face to face. He couldn't see that spirit looking back at him. He seen himself. Adam knew only the flesh part. He knew bone and flesh is bone, is his bone. But he did not know the spirit is his spirit, and he didn't know what was in him. So he said that this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. He said, hey, Lord, Lord, why you show me this mirror? Lord, come here, Lord. Lord, I don't want you to get upset with me. I don't want you to get upset with me, Lord. You know, you did a good job making me, but I don't want you to get upset with me, Lord. Lord, that's me. You showing me. This is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, Lord. And he had to see it spiritually because it's what's in him. That's our problem. That's our problem. Then it goes back to as I am known. This is the promise. The day it comes when man should know the spiritual guy fully. You already know him fully. So this is why it says that. This is why this is there. This is why this is there. I'm sitting there. I just crack up. You said that he brings it into the woman. I'm telling you, let me put it back there. Okay. It says in the woman, he brought him to the man. So we'll say he brought him to us. He brought us a mirror. He brought us a mirror. And I wanted to show you how arrogance don't change. You say, Lord, Lord, I appreciate the mirror. It's cool. It's cool with the mirror. Well, Lord, that's me. Lord, you trying to show me some smoking mirrors? You trying to show me some smoke? What did you do? This bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She'll be called woman. I'm going to name her too. Lord, she called woman. Lord, we going to call her woman. Lord say that's what her name is. Lord, you kind of slipped it. Lord, you slipped a little bit, Lord. You did a little bit of slipping, but we're going to tell you, Lord, I forgive you. I forgive you, Lord. That shows you our cockiness. That's our cockiness. So this is our problem. She was not new to him. He seen Eve. He seen his own reflection of man. He looked in the mirror. He didn't see that spirit that was he was supposed to see. He seen himself. It is familiar, unmarkable sight in this world. So the woman unto Adam was merely more than just already was. More bone, more flesh, more clothing. He looked upon the man, looked upon as an image in a pond. Have you ever looked in the pond and seen yourself in the pond? Did the same thing. Looking at, oh, I see myself. I'm telling you, it's a crack up. The spirit beneath the reflection was invisible to him. Therefore, the guide that Jehovah sent to receive it as nothing more than a second garment of flesh. That's all he's saying. That was it. But it get better. It get better than that. It get way better than that. Let's look at something. Let's go to Job. Let's go to Job. I tell you, it's a crack up. Job 10:11. Let's look at this. And it says, he had clothed me with skin. He clothed me with skin, and he fashioned me with bones and sinew. Really, that's interesting. But let me join something to you. I just want you to see something. I just want you to, don't move, don't y'all move. I just want you to see something, because we got to look at this a little bit closer. In Isaiah chapter 9, picking it up at verse 6, it says, for unto us, unto me, you, and everybody else, unto us a child is born. For unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. And he should be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. That's interesting. Ain't that interesting? Really, really interesting. The reason why is he clothed us, or he clothed me with skin and flesh clothing. And the woman who clothed Adam, her own skin and fits Adam in bones, and nothing more than man's the second clothing. So we got to look at this position. When the golden chef, that position of that guide, see, it was therefore invisible to him. That golden chef is a spiritual position. It's a place where the spirit guide sets authority under government of Jehovah. That's why we're looking at Isaiah 9:6. That's why we're looking at that. But then the wife who submits to her husband, male or female, the Lord sits upon the golden shelf, and he says, spirit rests upon the position of that divine order, guiding the flesh from the place of Jehovah's appointed. But if the man cannot see the spirit, he cannot see the chef. You know, the chef. I know chef and chef, Well, they both saying the same thing. One spelled with a C, one spelled with an S. I'm doing the one with an S. The chef. And people tell me, Elder, you know you can say, they were probably going to pronounce it way better than what but it's still chef. It's still going to say chef. But see it only as flesh. See it, the body sitting on a plank. That's all you do. You see it only as the body sitting on a plank, but the body is upon the plank of, it's nothing to the man who worships, just like Esau. He said, what is this birthright good for me? Yeah, dude, you want to buy it? You can have it. Just give me that pot of lentils. We good, dog. That's all he was doing. But that golden chef was the most glorious position in the workshop for Jehovah. But it was invisible only to the man who had spiritual, it was only visible to the man who had spiritual eyes. The carnal man is nothing. To Adam, it was nothing. The guy upon the shelf was invisible. You follow me? Let's look at something. I want to show you something. Let's dig a little bit more in this. In Genesis chapter 3 and verse 20, 3:20. It says, and Adam called his wife named Eve. I'm telling you, we call his wife Eve because she was the mother of all living. This is what we do. like Evangelist James, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is just what we do. We, as a simple naming, but opening the spiritual function when we're looking at this. And the spiritual function is called, C-A-L-L-E-D, called. That means together. Adam called. He called. That's together. The name, the way, Eve. Called the way Eve, the flesh, to give her a life. Called her Eve. That's where they came from. So he called together, meaning the spirit and the flesh, together, Eve. But now when you read the sentence, together, the way of flesh. So what he was declaring, together, the way of flesh. So he chose the path. He named the direction. He said the language of the spirit. We shall walk together the way of the flesh. That's what he was actually doing. That's what that's y'all daddy. That's y'all daddy. This is what we were doing. So he did not say, I will receive my guide together and we walk in the way of the spirit. He didn't say that. He said the opposite. He took the spirit guide, the woman, and named her a flesh. And in the naming, he chose the carnal path for both of them. That's why she bounced. And then the rejection of the golden shelf, by naming the guide after the garment rather than after the function, he called her flesh instead of a guide. He called her Eve instead of a woman. He chose the ways of flesh over the ways of the spirit. He chose to pull the guide down from the golden shelf and set her upon the floor of the flesh, where she would be seen and saw her as nothing. Tell me we don't do that today. Somebody tell me we don't do that, and I'm going to show you some liars. Say we don't do that today, I want to show you some liars in the chat. Tell me we don't do that today. We can't help it. We can't help ourselves. So this is why it's so important. Nothing but clothing the spirit was not even perceived. But it get better. It get better. Let's look at something. Let's look at this Ephesians. I want to go to Ephesians real quick. Ephesians 5:22. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, even as the Lord. So the wives, submit to your husbands, even as the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. He is the Savior of the body. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. So how did this work out? The ordinance of restoration, the golden chef. See, the putting back of the spirit guide in the position that Adam removed from her when Paul even said this, submit unto your own husband as the Lord, he's saying, return to the golden shell, return to the position, the guide under the government of Christ, for the government is upon his shoulder that you see in 9:6, because it says the government should be upon his shoulder. Ain't your shoulder, his shoulder. But we got issues. See, because the law, actually, let me go over here to 16. Let's do this. And we're going to look at 16. Saying the same thing. It says, unto the woman, and he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. So you're going to hook up our spirit, because that's our spirits rolling. And in sorrow shall I bring forth children. You're going to bring forth work. And thy desire shall be unto your husband, and he shall rule over thee. Exactly the point. But we just rebellious people. We are 100% rebellious people. This is what we do. We are just rebellious. So, as we doing this, Jehovah said, he made that clear, our desire shall be to thy husband, which to say, the spirit shall be joined back to the flesh in proper order. Why you think you guys are baptized and we go through those procedures that we do here? It got to go back into its proper order. Everyone who's baptized here, you know what's going. You know what I'm saying. That's why we got to go through that proper order. And then I'm the warner to you. I'm the hardcore envelope, and your husband keep writing you these messages before you come before him. This could be 20 years from now, 100 years from now, but he's letting you know, before you come before me, you better be right, woman. You follow me? So he shall rule over thee, which to say, the order of headship is maintained, and the guide shall guide from within the order. Because if you can't follow order already with your husband that's here on earth, you might as well kiss heaven goodbye, because that shows you don't know how to have order. Because a lot of people sitting here, they play that little false game. Oh, yeah, my husband, yeah, he's the head. But then behind doors, you thinking you running things. Guess what? He sees that, and he says, guess what? When she get up here, I got stuff. I got to go walk my fish. Just tell her I don't know her. Because guess what? If you thinking you going to run it here and you want to run your husband, and this is for all women, I'm talking to women, females, all women who thinking that they running their household, guess what you do? Turn around, kiss your butt goodbye, go buy you some gasoline draws and light them up. You want me to tell you why? Because you can kiss heaven goodbye. You want me to tell you why? Because you going to sit there and say, I'm running this house, and you done went completely out of order. You're out of order. So, and the same thing is, a lot of y'all say, well, because the same thing, he going to hold you to the same thing. Because when you get to heaven, guess what? You'll try to do the same crap up there. And he ain't having it. He ain't having that. Why? Because this is just what we do. This is how we are. But the position is not lost. It's called together as one flesh. The position must be restored, the two halves to the original Adam as which it were. So we got to look at it for what it is. See, I got all these women putting in here, amen, but a lot of y'all don't play games with me. Please, I'm the last one you want to play a game with. So I got to show you these fruits, these second tokens. See, because this clay is not new to sin. See, clay is not new to sin. See, they are harvest of sin. Adam planted when he called together the way of flesh. The man could not see the spirit. He saw only the clothing. He named the guy after the garment. Shut the front door. I can't believe he did that, but he did it. In the naming, a generation was born, a generation of spirits that are now defined by flesh, so that they sin all things through carnal eyes. They repeat Adam's sin in every age. You guys follow me? In every age, we doing this. So to understand this, the clay vessel must understand to see them as the children of original rejection, the inheritance that passed from Adam to every soul that looked upon the woman and seeth only bone and flesh. You follow me? You heard in the decoding of the golden chef. You done heard this. I'm telling you what's going on. Adam was already male and female. One being in the spirit within them was separated, clothed in flesh, and brought back. And you have heard that the spirit cannot be seen with the naked eye. Adam saw only clothing. Are you guys with me? You hearing me? So he heard and he called it together the way of flesh. But now you hear sin was committed, and the naming even of Eve was a seal. I'm telling you, it's a crack up. I'm surprised. Why in the hell do I be some of you guys attorneys? I don't even get it. Why would I do the law for y'all? Because guess what? Half of y'all won't even get it. Reason why? Because you still want to be buried in sin. Each stage planted a seed to grow in clay vessels. They murmured upon the floor of this parable. So this first stage, this first act, actually, let me show it to you. I got to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. I want to make sure you see it. I'm trying to stop from getting mad, but it says, watch what it says here. It says, out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field. Marker. Every beast of the field, marker, and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto the Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every creature, that was named thereof, and Adam gave names. So he gave ways to all the cattle and all the fowl of the air and every beast of the field. But for Adam, for us, there was not found a helpmeet for him. Shut the front door. Yeah, shut the front door. Why? Because Adam named the beasts because the beasts were beneath him. Stop playing with me, you guys. Let's get serious with this. He named the beasts and he brought them to him because he already told him in Genesis chapter 1 that he had dominion over them. And he said that when he brought them to him, he can name them because they was beneath him. They was creatures of the flesh, formed from the ground. Adam exercised dominion over them by the act of naming them, and naming is an act of authority. That's why you see it there. Mark it. Man. How you say it? Mother Freeze? Oh, Mother Freeze. Come on now. This is why he was doing that. The namer always stands above the named. When Adam named the cattle, he declared dominion over the cattle. When Adam named the fowl, he declared dominion over the fowl. When Jehovah brought the woman unto him, his own spirit, his guide, clothed down in flesh, Adam did unto her the same thing. He named her. She should be called woman. He put her in the same identical category as you put beast as that name. He exercised dominion over the spirit as though the spirit were a creature of the ground rather than the guide of his soul. You see what's going on? This is the issue. And then to decode this whole thing, this golden chef, Jehovah set a glass mirror. He set this glass mirror in front of us. In front of us. I done did some of y'all back more than 5 years ago. More than 5 dap lame years ago. But watch what happens here. Let's drop down to 23. I'm going to go down to 20 because I just want you to see it. And Adam said, put your name right there. This is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. As I'm looking in this dang mirror, this all I see is me. She should be called woman. She should be called whatever your name is because she was taken out of me. You don't see nothing. Why? Because you're looking at yourself carnally. Nothing. He did not say, this is down the spirit and guide of my soul. He described what the mirror showed him, the surface, no substance, reflection, not reality. He worshiped the image in the glass rather than perceiving the spirit behind the glass. This is the first and deepest sin of each and every one of us. Not eating of the fruit. This is our problem. So this is the first sin, the worship of reflection. Did you know that? The worship, how many, watch it ain't gonna get the truth. I'm gonna try to get the truth, but I ain't gonna get it. How many of you women and men do all these dang selfies, click, and plaster it all over Facebook? And I think they do it on this. I don't really do Instagram. You plaster it everywhere. You got all these pictures of yourselves. All these selfies that you post up. How many of y'all do that? How many of y'all used to do it? Reflection of yourself, and you think you all this in a bag of corn chips. I'm telling you, this is a crack up. Let's look at some 1 Corinthians 13:12. It says, for now we see through a glass, darkly. We see through this glass darkly. But then face to face, and now in part. But then I shall know, even also am I known. Interesting. Highly, highly interesting. Highly interesting. But you see what went on. That darkness was our own carnal blindness, the rejection of the spirit. Was born first to worship the reflection. We gonna worship the reflection. For we worship what we seen in the mirror, never perceive what the mirror cannot show us. That was the catch the entire time. In this same stage that we look at, I'm gonna show it to you. We're gonna drive down back to 25. They were both, Adam, male and female, they were both naked. They was in sin, the man and his wife. They were not ashamed. The world reads this 100% in ignorance. My mom used to read, she didn't know, she was ignorant. When you talk about mama, your mama was ignorant. Well, what about your daddy was ignorant too? Well, your granddaddy was ignorant too. The naked, mark it, write it, do whatever you need to do, but when it's to be naked, it's to be without a covering. It's to be without a covering. You follow me? That's to be without a covering, to be in a state of spiritual exposure, meaning you in a state of sin. So this is why Jehovah later, you'll see here, let me go here. Actually, let me go here. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna show you something. This is why he did this later. It says, unto Adam, also unto his wife, did the Lord God make coats of skin and clothe them. Why do you think he did that? Why do you think he did that? Because the coat of skin, the covering that Jehovah provided, they were uncovered. We were uncovered. We was in a state of sin. But I need you to mark this. Make sure you understand what I'm saying today. Make sure you completely understand what I'm saying today. This is why we have the issues we have. They were naked because they were in a state of sin. They were not ashamed because they could not perceive the sin. They needed spiritual eyes. Their eyes were shut. Adam could not see what the Spirit stood before him. He could only see the clothing. He named it the beast. The blind named the things he can touch. Touch meaning his concerns. Not by sight, Adam was spiritually blind to touch, to be concerned of the flesh. He missed the whole thing spiritually. It's the entire thing spiritually, the entire thing. 1 Corinthians, looking at chapter 2, 14, it tells us this. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, looking at verse 14, it tells us this. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God. Can't, for they are foolishness to him. Neither know them because they are spiritually discerned. They didn't even get it. They couldn't even get this. Adam was a natural man. He received not the things of the Spirit. Why? Because the woman was the Spirit, his guide, his counterpart. And he received her not as a spirit. He received her as flesh. This is why we run into the problem today. This is why we have the same issue today. For we know if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. Tells us clear. These bodies, earthly houses, but the Spirit dwells within the man, dwells within the tabernacle. Adam, upon the tabernacle, saw only the tent. Only the tent. But we hear why the clay vessels, this parable, when we went through Adam's sin, we see that. The clay vessels are those spirits where dwellings in males and female bodies are defined by flesh. They are made of clay because they see all the things through carnal eyes. They cannot perceive the Spirit. They cannot only perceive the vessel. They can only continue the original sin from every generation. They look upon the wife and see only the bone and flesh. They look upon the covenant, they only see a social contract. This is why a lot of our parents, a lot of our brothers, a lot of our sisters, a lot of our wives, a lot of our husbands going to die. And they're going to die that second death. They're going to have that second death. That second death is coming. It's coming. Every day you live, you closer to it. And a lot of y'all going to see it. To look upon submission and to only see the body submitting to another body rather than the spirit resisting or resting under the government of Jehovah, they are strange women. Actually, I'm going to show you this, thinking about it. Let me show you something. Let's look at this in Proverbs chapter 2. Chapter 2, 16 tells you this. We deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the strange with the flattery of her words, which forsake the guide of her youth and forgetteth the covenant of her guide. Exactly the point. She forsakes the guide. That's what destiny pumps to you. She becomes the spirit that have forgotten the spirit, guide that have forgotten this function, a woman who have reduced herself to what Adam reduced her to, bone and flesh and name. This is why so many people go in these buildings and sit there and call that man, he's their shepherd. Why do you think they do that? This is why the vessels murmured against the golden chef. They could not see the chef with a spirit position because they could not see the spiritual things. They see the body upon the chef, which they called imprisonment. They see the wife in submission. They call it oppression. They see the spirit resting in the government, in the craftsman, and called it bondage. They're looking at the garment, not the wearer. They're looking at the garment, not the wearer. They're naming the clothing and not recognizing the spirit. Do it like clockwork. They do that like clockwork. How? How do you know? They do me like that. So I'm good. I don't trip. See, they are only stones, vessels, exactly what Adam did, Eve. And they're saying, look at the flesh, look at the body, look at the vessel. Why is this body upon a shelf? Who in the hell do he think he is? This is why flesh submitting is this bone equal to that bone. But the question is wrong in questioning. For the question treats the spirit as though it were flesh. The answer to a fleshly question can only be fleshly answers. Fleshly answers is nothing dressed as wisdom. Let me prove what I'm saying. I'm gonna prove what I'm saying here. In Ecclesiasticus, it says something. We're gonna see this in Sirach chapter 26 and in 9. It's 9. And it says, the whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her straightly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Exactly the point. Overmuch liberty. Overmuch liberty. Think about that. The stone vessel upon the golden shelf. Think about that. Think about that. I got a lot more I should go through, but I got about another hour and a half, so I'm gonna break some of this down. So I might end up running this in the back after the children's, decoding this here. Sit there to see what's going on. But we gotta, let me see, cause this here, all they're gonna do is end up making me angry a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pause here. I'm gonna pause it here. And same as I said, everybody who's here, more than welcome to visit in the back. The same I was saying with everything else that's happening. We have to look at what we need to do. And the same as I said with the Passover, if you're looking to be on the waiting list, you're more than welcome. You can come in the Zoom, and or you can send an email to be placed on the waiting list. You're more than welcome. Anybody who's here, you're more than welcome to come into the Zoom. We have people who are also, was seeking assistance from Fruits of Charity, and they choose not to come back in the Zoom. And that's what causes a lot of issues with some of you guys. So with that, that's why you get turned down. If you choose not to come in that format, don't expect to get assistance. That's how that actually works. So if you guys were seeking those helps, you need to make sure yourself known. We don't make yourself known just sitting on the front and then just decide you can show up and we're going to break down to you. That's not going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this going, for each and every person as we continue to move forward and as we continue to go. So if you want to come in Zoom, please come back there. We have the kids going to come up. We're going to have a few other things going on. So until we meet again, I say to each and every person, until we meet, to you, shalom.
Rebellious.